What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Goal Set Mindset podcast. This is Julie, your host, here to bring you weekly wellness tips to help you live happier, healthier, and make real progress towards your goals. On today's episode, we are having a little bit of a mindset conversation about a topic centered around a quote that I love and particularly has been coming up in a lot of conversations lately. I first heard this quote from my good friend Joe Rinaldi, and ever since I heard it from him, it's really resonated with me. And over the last, I'd say a couple weeks, I've just been finding myself having a lot of conversations centered around this idea that many of us are struggling with something right now. Whether it's a hard thing that we chose to do or a hard thing that chose us, many of us are in this place where there's some darkness and are trying to navigate it. And in those times, I think about this quote and it really changes my perspective. So the quote is from Caine, and it reads, "Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted." I love this quote, and what we're going to do today is break it down a little bit. I have three main ideas centered around this quote that I'm going to leave you with so that if you are somebody who is finding yourself in a dark place right now, you can think about these ideas and hopefully find your way through it and find growth through the process. The first point here is that dark places are an inevitable part of the human existence. Unfortunately, we don't get to choose a lot of the hard things that happen, but it's just part of being human. Part of going through life means that we are going to experience great joys and great experiences and hopefully lots of happiness and fulfillment. But it also means that we are going to have to handle hard shit every once in a while. And when we think of this, we can relate to the picture that this quote paints of this idea of planted versus buried. I like to take the viewpoint of a rock and a seed. A rock gets buried, whereas a seed gets planted. But both of these things exist in darkness. From the viewpoint of the rock or the viewpoint of the seed, things look exactly the same. It's dark and it's dirty and you have no idea where the top of the soil is. But the difference is that you can take the perspective of either one of these things, and ultimately that perspective is what is going to create the result that comes of this dark place. So let's take the rock, for example. A rock that is buried is kind of just permanently there in that dark place. It might get washed up by water, or maybe somebody will dig and pick it up and throw it. But ultimately, the rock and its position is at the mercy of the situations around it. And unfortunately, doesn't have any control in and of itself or any ability to grow out of it. But when we think about the seed, which is in that same dark place, a seed has the ability to grow. And in fact, the whole point of a seed is for it to start as this little tiny object in darkness and grow into something bigger because of it. We can take the standpoint of being the rock, and we've all done this, where we have something difficult that we're facing and think that there's no way out, and think that this is just how it is. We suffer an injury and think, I'm never going to be back to the way that I was. We lose a friendship and think, I'm never going to get over this heartbreak or get over this person. But the other perspective we can take in this time of darkness is the seed. Seeds have the ability to grow and leave that place that they initially started in, find a way out of the darkness. So we can think of this hard place, this dark place deep in the soil, as an opportunity for growth. Seeds show us that beauty is born from darkness. Beauty begins in darkness. Every plant or flower that you've ever seen starts under the ground. And I don't know about you, but I love plants. I'm starting to collect them in my own home. And I think it's such a cool metaphor for life. Which brings me to my second point, is that in order for seeds to grow and become the beautiful plants and flowers and trees that we know and love, they need the right environment. If you're a person of faith, you might have heard the quote that God can't steer a parked car. So if we take this perspective of the seed, it's great to take that perspective and commit to it and be positive, but you've got to do something about it. You've got to take action in order to grow. So let's think about the things that are important for a seed to grow. Some of the obvious things are the amount of water and sunlight that it has. And in both of these cases, seeds can get too much sunlight or they can get too much water, in which case they get totally drowned out in these things that are seemingly good but can be over-consumed or overutilized. And then, of course, the seed will cease to grow if it doesn't get enough of these nutrients either. There has to be this balance in nature of fuel and of things that are consumed in order to grow properly. And I think that's so applicable to us as people as well. Maybe our metaphorical sunlight and water is also the things that we consume. It's the things that we're reading online, the people that we are connecting with and interacting with, the actions that we're taking, the time that we're waking up in order to get the things done that we need to do to get out of this dark place. Like, the list goes on. But when we think about sunlight and water, think about that external environment, the things that are very much in your control that you get to decide to do on a regular basis. We need to make sure that those are in line with growth, with the person that you want to become, in order to help lift us out of that dark place. And then let's also think about the immediate environment of the seed, the soil that it's in. I haven't planted flowers outside before because I have never been in a position to do that. But I imagine the soil that you put the plants in is very important. There might be some people who have tried to plant flowers or a bush or something and it just doesn't grow, regardless of what they pour into it, because it's not in the right environment. So this seed that's underground, it needs to be in soil that's going to nourish it and allow it to flourish and allow it to properly get the nutrients that it needs. You, as a person with this growing plant, might be giving it everything it needs, the water and the sunlight and the love and attention. But if it's not in the right pot and the right soil, none of that's going to matter. So think about that with your darkness, with your dark place, with your hard thing that maybe you choose or maybe it chose you. What's your soil like? What is your immediate environment like? Let's think about your home. Is your home a place that you enjoy being, that you feel like is motivating you and encouraging you to take steps towards the person that you want to become? Is it reminding you of the light that exists beyond the darkness? Is it filled with quotes and signs and pictures and things that make you happy? Or do you have things that you're holding on to that no longer serve you? Maybe pictures or situations or just cues from your environment that are bringing you back to that dark place. Think about the people in your immediate environment. Are those people helping to lift you up and helping to create this optimal environment for you to grow? When we're in a place of darkness, I think the people in our life become even more important, because those of us who have people to endure that with us and help lift us out of it, those are the people who are going to get out of this situation. You know, like, nobody can go through anything alone. I think that human connection and that sense of community and doing things and having this shared struggle together is so crucial. So think about those people that you surround yourself with most. And whether you love this person dearly or whether it's somebody who just happens to be somebody that you spend a lot of time with, ask yourself, are they helping you grow? Are they building you up, or are they contributing to that darkness? Are they bringing you down? Are they sucking life and joy and energy out of you? And this can be a hard reality because sometimes it's people or friends or family members that have been in your life for a long time that relationship just is starting to shift and change. I think one of the hardest things we go through in life is navigating relationships that drift, like become different over time. But it's one of the hard truths of life that change is the only thing that is constant. So take a close look at the people around you, the other rocks and seeds in your soil, if you will. Maybe they've been there a long time and it's going to be so hard to let go of the closeness that you once had. But maybe that's exactly what you need for you as a seed to flourish and ultimately grow. And the last point here is that as a seed or as a rock, we have no idea how close we are to the top of the soil. When you are in a dark place, it feels like you are so far from the light. And I'm speaking about this from experience. None of us want to be in this dark place, and it's so easy to take on that viewpoint of the rock because we feel like we're stuck. And just like we said before, rocks are kind of stuck unless somebody moves them. So take on that perception of the seed where day by day, hour by hour, a little bit of growth is getting you closer and closer to that threshold where you are ultimately going to burst through the ground and become this beautiful, new, transformed version of yourself. The seed that's in the ground, that's right at the edge of getting to the top, has the same environment as the one that's all the way down here. We have no idea where we actually stand in that level of the soil. So knowing that we don't know what's next, we don't know how long we're going to be in this darkness for, we need to embody a stubborn faith that things are going in the right direction. It can be so hard sometimes depending on what this dark place is and how dark it really is. But as a seed, you know, whether it's very slow or very quickly, you know that you are making your way towards the top, and that is something that we need to hang on to. Because in the moments that we want to give up, if we remember that we are just at the tip of bursting through the soil and getting to the outside and getting to the sunlight, that will keep us going. What if you, in this dark place right now, what if you are right on the edge of something amazing? What if you've been going through this stage of life for what seems like forever, whether it be weeks or months or years, where you just feel stuck, you feel unfulfilled, you feel like you don't know what's next? What if that thing that's next is right around the freaking corner? You don't know. I don't know. But when you think of it that way, it's going to give you that extra push you need to keep going and get there. I had a conversation the other day with a dear friend, and we both are just talking about navigating this right now. The fact that it's hard to let go of things that aren't serving us anymore and look forward to the next stage in life because we have no idea what the hell's coming next. But I am holding strong to the idea that being a seed in that situation is ultimately going to lead me to the outside, where I'm going to have this fresh air and sunlight and beauty and excitement and all of these things that I want, even if I don't know what it looks like now. And I think we can all think of a hard thing that we've been through in life that ultimately led to beautiful growth. Think about one of the hardest things that you've gone through. And when you look back and you really think about this, and sometimes it takes like a little bit of journaling or meditation or reflection, but you'll notice how much of an impact it made on you and where you are now. I've talked about this in other podcasts before about things specific to me and hard things that I've been through, and the fact that I wouldn't be where I am doing what I do without the hard things that have been handed to me. So remember that. Remember that strength is built through struggle, and that comfort is the enemy of growth. That beauty is only built from darkness. That we appreciate the sun more on the rainy days. All of those ideas, they so hold true. So no matter where you are in this dark place and how far along you are, you get to decide. Are you planted or buried? Are you going to be the rock who's telling yourself that you're stuck and there's no way out? Or are you going to be the seed who, with the right environment, the right amount of water and sunlight and attention and nourishment, is going to burst through the ground any day now and start that transformed chapter of your life that you've been waiting for? Planted or buried? Perspective is everything, and you get to decide. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Goal Set Mindset Podcast. I hope you enjoy this chat from me about an idea that's been on my mind lately, planted versus buried. If you are enjoying the show, I would love to connect with you on Instagram. You can find me at goalsetmindset_JB. And I would also love if you subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, we will be back next week with another episode.